I want everyone to close your eyes and imagine a reality where you don't have social norms in which you are expected to conform. What would that look like? Where would you live? What would you wear? Who would you be? Now open your eyes. What does that reality look like? Now imagine a world where you are no longer defined by these norms. A world where identity transcends the boundaries of physical characteristics, social roles, and gender. Where every individual can achieve the ultimate goal to develop and nurture a life that is consistent with their true self. Hi, everyone. My name is Allie Vogel, and I'm currently a product designer at Microsoft. So I've been working in the tech industry for almost a decade on a variety of projects, from creating developer tools for the autonomous driving vehicle space to storytelling with machine learning. And for the past 6 years, I've been residing in Tel Aviv and pursuing my master's degree in human-computer interaction. But as many great and not at all traumatic stories start, let me tell you a little bit about my childhood. So growing up in California in a family with 3 brothers and a familial structure where my father was hugely influential in my upbringing, this meant tons of sports and the notion of strong independence from a young age. But it also meant being one of the guys. And actually, my dad always jokes that his goal in life was to make me a tomboy. So this actually meant dressing in board shorts, wrestling with my brothers, and playing YMCA basketball. And even though my basketball career was terribly pathetic, I mean, one season I didn't even make a basket. It was horrifyingly embarrassing, but I loved it, and I actually really felt like I belonged. I felt comfortable in these roles, and I grew up happy. And it seemed like my father almost succeeded until my teenage years, where I started to rebel. Who can identify with this rebellion? Yeah. But my rebellion actually looked a little bit different than most teenage girls. I didn't sneak out of the house. I didn't drink alcohol with friends or decide that I hated my parents. Instead, I started competing in beauty pageants. This is like one of my deepest, darkest secrets that I'm sharing with you today. And I know what you're thinking. No, this isn't me. But I do remember when I was 16 and I first approached my parents about competing in pageants. And my parents are really supportive, but when I talked to them about it, they kind of looked at me with a puzzled look and reluctantly agreed. I remember my dad saying, "Pageants? This was not the tomboy he raised me to be." And the next few years were a blur of hair extensions, spray tans, and acrylic nails. I'm sure you guys have seen some American movies, so maybe you can start to empathize with what that looked like. People are shocked when they see pictures today. Again, a very embarrassing moment. But I was becoming Barbie. And though the purpose of competing in pageants were supposed to make me feel more of a woman, somehow I never actually felt more disconnected from myself. So as I entered university and actually stumbled into my first sociology class, my university was very big and couldn't find the real one, and I walked in, and I remember hearing this idea and learning about gendered societal norms. And that actually inspired me to critically think about why myself and these other women were competing for the ultimate status of emphasized femininity. So eventually, I dropped out of beauty pageants, but the pursuit of understanding my place in this emphasized gender world was far from over. And it was actually while pursuing my master's degree in human-computer interaction at Reichman University that I met a classmate, Adi, in a virtual reality seminar. And she actually inspired me to start thinking once again about my gendered identity. And so for those of you who might be new to the term of human-computer interaction, I know some people are tuning in from the other side of the television. It's actually an emerging discipline that lies at the intersection of technology, cognitive psychology, and design. And it actually challenges creators to conceive products in a human-centered way that seeks to align computer interfaces with existing social practices and values. So one of my main takeaways from this virtual reality technology was a concept called virtual reality embodiment. And what virtual reality embodiment is the concept and the premise that we have this connection to our virtual beings through movement of our real selves. And this actually creates the illusion that we are connected to these virtual beings. So when Adi and I started to discuss this topic, one of the most obvious applications for it was the exploration of one's gendered identity through this virtual embodiment. There's actually been a lot of research about virtual embodiment that's shown that it can actually increase empathy and perception, that can combat various things that happen in society like racism and domestic abuse. And so virtual reality embodiment is so powerful, but for some reason, there was something that was really holding me back from pursuing this. And as I started to dig in deeper and reflect on why I was so resistant to actually working on this idea, this feeling inside of me started to come up and become really, really afraid. And since now I feel like we're almost family, I mean, I told you I competed in pageants. It's more than I've told most people. I'll share with you another secret about why I was so afraid to actually move forward with this project. When I was 22, I was diagnosed with a hormonal imbalance that leads to excessive weight gain, acne, and in my particular case, it manifested in facial hair. So that's right. My brothers and I used to joke that there were 4 boys in the family, and that Barbie, which is what they like to call me, had a beard. And so this felt like if I was to enter this world and I was going to start exploring this identity of my own, that who knows what could be found. Now, who here feels as though they possess characteristics that are feminine, as well as characteristics that might be perceived as masculine? Yeah, that's actually most of us. And this is actually so incredibly powerful to be able to have this mix and this balance of both the masculine and the feminine. And this is actually something that creates the unique essence that is us. But for some reason, we've been forced to ascribe to the societal norms of these binary ways of thinking about our gender. And so what I learned is that sex is not actually equal to gender, or sex is something that we're born with, and it's something that we are given with either an X or a Y chromosome. Whereas gender is not binary, and it's actually something that we feel. And I remember after we discussed this at length, it felt like this was a project that I, as a cisgendered female who myself had struggled with questions of gender identity, almost had to go ahead and pursue. And this is really where the project of True Hue became incepted. So, I would love to be able to share with you a little bit more about the project that we created. This project came to be when Adi approached me during a VR seminar that we were both taking to partner up and create a project based on gender fluidity.
It's really an immersive experience, like move across the gender spectrum using VR. We have a participant coming in. They would tell us how they would like to look like or what kind of gender they'd like to experience with. We take their photo and we create their avatar in VR. And they see themselves in a clinic, looking at the mirror and seeing this character that looks like them, but with the gender modification that they wanted to see.
By using virtual environments, we're able to create situations that are not available in the real world.
When you can actually see yourself, when you can see your hands, when you can see your body within this environment, this is something that is really empowering.
By using technology, we're able to provide individuals with other perspectives and other views of themselves.
I think it's one of these projects where on the first thought you think it's a bit esoteric, but then you realize that with the advance of technology, it could be that 5, 10, 15 years from now, any kid who has any questions about their gender identity can really explore these things, and this could be really meaningful for a lot of people.
בסדר? אוקיי, תתמקמי כזה מעל הרגליים שלו, פחות או יותר, שכאילו...
זה מגניב. וואי, תקשיבי, זה ממש מגניב. תודה לך. תודה על הכל, באמת.
תודה לך, ברור. בשמחה. A couple of years ago, I was sitting in a bar, and I met this trans man who used to be a teacher in elementary school. He told me that when he started the gender assignment therapy, the head of teacher kind of kicked him out of school because she said she didn't want to have this in front of the kids. And I thought, oh my God, she just prevented them from like the most important lesson, that people come in different shapes, people come in different colors, different genders, and if we learn to see the beauty in the difference and not be intimidated by the differences, we'll benefit much more as individuals and as society at whole. And yeah.
So it was only through this project that we realized the importance of exploring gender in between the spectrum. And what we realized is that our project wasn't just relevant for people with gender dysphoria or hormonal imbalances. This project is relevant for every single person that wants to experience what life would be like across the spectrum. As we showed here today in this room, we all have these feelings of having certain characteristics that might be socially constructed as masculine, while others that might be socially constructed as feminine. And gender isn't binary. This is something that we're really beginning to learn and accept as a society. And it's through the creation of avatars and through the process of us heading into the metaverse. Anyone hear of the metaverse recently? That we're really able to connect ourselves with these avatars and be able to feel what it would be like to actually have this gendered self. So there's actually a theory called the rubber hand illusion, which shows that if you take a person's real hand and you replace their other hand with a rubber hand, that when the individual is touched on their rubber hand and they're looking at the real hand, they'll actually feel as if that rubber hand is being touched. And this is a principle that actually guides virtual reality embodiment, because when we see ourselves as these virtual avatars, we can feel empathy, we can feel compassion, we can explore ourselves in ways in which we never thought was possible before. How did Ryan Gosling get up there? No, that's actually a photo of me that was put through our gender swap algorithm. And I was quite flattered when people started to tell me I looked like this celebrity. And today I can actually laugh about it, and it's funny. But when I was 22 and I was first diagnosed with this hormonal disorder, and I did everything possible to hide it, I could have never imagined standing up here on stage in front of 650 people and something that will probably live on the internet forever, talking about this part of myself that I so badly wanted to hide. But what I realized was so important about talking about it is that so many other people have gone through or are going through the same type of dysphoria. That feeling of feeling disconnected from your physical body and who you are to what other people see. So for me personally, it was so incredibly healing to work on this project, to connect with people that do experience gender dysphoria at such an intense level that they do go through gender transition. But again, this project is not specific for the trans community. It's just one possible application. I remember one of the most powerful stories that I heard during this experience, and it was that of a woman who grew up as an ultra-Orthodox man in Jerusalem. Now, she's a developer at a big company, doing really well. And one day, she calls her colleagues into the break room. She brings some cakes too, she's really sweet. And she stands up in front of her colleagues and she says, I want to apologize to everyone in this room. I want to apologize because this entire time that you've known me, I was lying to you. I was lying to you that I was a man when in fact, I'm a woman. And it's really important for me to come clean with this lie because I want you to know me for who I am, for who I actually am. And her colleagues all kind of looked at her in discomfort, and no one said anything, not a word. So she went back to her desk, continued to work there, and has actually been working there for 8 years. She's still at that company. And what we can learn from this story and this woman that we have worked with is that a lot of people who experience gender dysphoria actually know themselves. So initially, we thought that when we were building this product, it was for people that were looking to explore their gender identity, which is just one application. But what we learned is that the greater implications of this product are actually increasing empathy among colleagues, family members, parents, siblings, teachers, anyone that comes into contact with individuals who need a greater sense of themselves being understood. So this is not to say that the journey has been perfect. We've actually received quite a bit of criticism and backlash when we were building this. Actually, the head of our program said to a D&I, you know, what you two cisgendered women are trying to do is like having a group of guys build a breast pump. And it's true, in a sense. We don't know what the experience of gender transformation is like. But the point that is also very true that we have talked about and we have proven in this room today is that we all have questions about ourselves, whether it's about our gender, the job that we have, the partner that we're currently residing with, what we studied, what we ate for lunch that day. As humans, we're inquisitive, and we're always looking to understand ourselves and the world a little bit better. And I think if there's anything that's been proven during this era of COVID, it's that we seek human connection, and through human connection, we can gain a better sense of universal understanding and fulfillment. So where do we actually go from here? We've talked about the metaverse. We've talked about this world where avatars represent so much of who we are. And I think that's the really interesting thing with this product, is that even though when we built it, we never had the intention of showing it beyond the confinement of our virtual reality seminar. It was really just meant to be a school project. But what we learned is that the implications of building something like this can be so unbelievably impactful. And what we heard from our users and the researchers and the psychologists and basically this small army, as you saw in the credits, of people that have helped us build this, is that tools like TrueHue, although what you saw today is just a proof of concept, can be so unbelievably powerful as our physical bodies become more and more intertwined with our avatar selves. So I think that this is the moment when we really come back down from this journey that we've just been on, this journey of questions that doesn't necessarily have concrete answers, but is really intended to spark an inspiration in all of us to think more critically about how we can actually leverage technology in order to solve these societal questions and also build towards a better future. So once again, I want everyone to take a deep breath. It's been a long day full of a lot of information. I want us to close our eyes and really to think about to think about how we can be true to ourselves, how we can see our true hue, and how we can really inspire each and every one of us to be your true you. So thank you so much for joining this session today. I'll be happy to keep in touch. I'll be outside, I'll be talking to everyone, and I just wanted to say thank you so much again for welcoming me to Stockholm and to this conference.